Hey guys, Dalek44 here. I need no introduction, but I've got one anyway. And welcome to another edition of a new segment I like to call The Villain Files. The second villain I'm going to be taking a look at is former Jedi Knight, former Sith Lord, former leader of the Separatists, played by former actor who passed away recently. This is Count Dooku. Count Dooku originally started his life as a Jedi Padawan under the teachings of Master Yoda. He would then rise up to Jedi Knight and then presumably Master, where he would eventually become the Master of Qui-Gon Jinn, who would later on become the Master to Obi-Wan Kenobi. But then at some point he betrayed the Jedi Order and turned to the dark side of the Force, where he was knighted Darth Tyrannus by Darth Sidious. And no one in the galactic public knew the whereabouts of the Count until 10 years after the Trade Federation's invasion of Naboo, when Dooku formed the Separatists, a band of people in the Galactic Republic who would soon leave the Republic and join Dooku's army of Separatist droids. This was to be discovered by Jedi Knight Obi-Wan Kenobi after following bounty hunter Jango Fett to Geonosis, where he discovered the droid factories where they were making several battle droids that were similar to the Trade Federation's droids, as well as droids designed by other members of the Separatists. The Count had persuaded many star systems to sign his treaty and join the Separatists, including the Commerce Guild, the Corporate Alliance, the Techno Union, the Banking Clan, and the Trade Federation, still led by Newt Gunray. Dooku revealed to Obi-Wan that he formed the Separatist army because he discovered that the Republic was under the control of the Dark Lord of the Sith, which Master Kenobi found hard to believe, since the Jedi would have been aware of it. Then after an epic battle at the Geonosis Colosseum, where Obi-Wan, Anakin Skywalker and Padme Amidala were meant to be executed in front of the Separatist side, many Jedi Knights from the Council attempted to save the three, only to be ambushed by the battle droids. But then they were later on saved by the clone army created for the Republic by Jedi Master Sifo Dyas. After the surprise to Dooku that the Jedi would come up with an army so quickly, he attempted to escape Geonosis, only to have a lightsaber duel between Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker, which resulted in Skywalker's arm being cut off, and above all, his old teacher, Master Yoda. But Dooku managed to use his Sith techniques to escape the Jedi, return to Coruscant, and report back to his master Darth Sidious, along with the plans for the Death Star, which was designed by the Geonosians. After Dooku barely escaped with his life, he continued to lead the Separatists and cause havoc in the Republic. During the Clone Wars, Count Dooku did many unforgivable things, including persuading other star systems to join his Separatist army, training Ventress to hunt down Anakin Skywalker, teach the new droid general, Grievous, to hunt down the Jedi and then use their lightsabers in battle, and even trained Darth Maul's brother, Savage Opressed, in the ways of the Force. It was even discovered during the Clone Wars that Count Dooku himself was the one who ordered the clone army in Sifo Dyas' name, and that he was the one who killed Sifo Dyas, and it was his job to make sure that no one would find any leads to it. Even though the Jedi discovered that it was Count Dooku himself who placed the order for the clone army in Master Sifo Dyas' name, they continued to use the clones as they had been very helpful to them in the past. So after committing several crimes of the Galactic Republic and causing the death of millions, it was only a matter of time before Dooku got his comeuppance. When General Grievous led an invasion of Coruscant to capture Chancellor Palpatine, Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi went to the General's command ship to rescue the Chancellor, only to be confronted by Count Dooku himself. This resulted in another epic lightsaber duel between Anakin, Obi-Wan and Dooku, which resulted in Obi-Wan getting injured and Anakin to face Dooku himself, only to get the other hand by chopping off both his hands, using his lightsaber to kill Dooku by beheading him, under Palpatine's persuasion of course. It was then that Dooku realised that Chancellor Palpatine, aka Darth Sidious, was just using Dooku as a pawn in his plans the whole time. In the films, Count Dooku was portrayed by the late Sir Christopher Lee, who gave a wonderful performance to the character. After watching the films, it's hard to imagine anybody else in the role. Christopher Lee just nailed the part really well. He looked the part, acted the part, and even sounded the part. Very similar to how he portrayed Saruman in the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit films. In the Clone Wars TV series, both versions, he was voiced by an American actor called Corey Burton,
who was actually a huge fan of Christopher Lee's. So it's quite a coincidence that he got to voice one of Lee's characters. And even though you know that he isn't really Christopher Lee in the series, he does give it his all with portraying the character, and he does a great job with doing a Christopher Lee impression. But to me, Christopher Lee will always be the best Count Dooku.
The reason I decided to talk about Count Dooku this time was not just because he's one of my favourite villains of all time and one of my favourite film series of all time, but it's also to do with the fact that Sir Christopher Lee, the actor who portrayed him, sadly passed away not so long ago. So I decided to do this little file onto Count Dooku for the memory of Christopher Lee.
And it was really sad news to me when they announced that Christopher Lee passed away this year, at the age of 93. And to me, there won't be another actor like him. He was great as Count Dooku and any other character he played, and his films will always prove it.
May you rest in peace, Sir Count Christopher Dooku Saruman Lee, and you will always be remembered. I'm Dalek44, and I think I'm going to go watch Star Wars Episode 2 and Episode 3 to take my mind off things.